This is Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.
Welcome to Fox 8 Overtime. We missed you last week. I'm Juan along with Garland and Chris. Sean is traveling this week, so we gave him the night off. Which team excites you guys the most right now, Saints or LSU?
I got to say LSU right now. You know why? Because with the Saints, we expected them to be in the playoff hunt.
Good point.
LSU, everybody expected. Vegas had them at 7-5, going maybe 6-6. O's are on the hot seat right now. They're number 5 in the country.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, LSU's been a roller coaster, and a very fun roller coaster at that. They go from an unexpected start to losing a heartbreaker at Florida, but then you bounce back with the biggest win in the last couple of years, beating Georgia at home. So it's certainly been a lot of fun to watch.
I would say they've both been fun to watch, for LSU especially. Let's get you right to the big board. Things we're talking about tonight. Up in Baton Rouge was the Georgia win, Ed Orgeron's signature win. The Saints at 4-1, are they an elite company? And the Pelicans, are they primed for another playoff run? We're going to begin with the LSU 36-16 rout over second-ranked Georgia. It was the Tigers' third win against a top 10 opponent this season, but by far their most impressive win of the season. Was this Ed Orgeron's signature win, though?
Yeah, I'll say it was Orgeron's signature win. I also feel like it's kind of unfair we keep asking this question, right? Like, every time Ed Orgeron has a big win, we're like, was it a signature win? Because we didn't expect Ed Orgeron to win a big game. But, you know, Sean Fazan, we're sitting here right now. He'd be riding for Coach O right now, and I'll do the same thing, especially in this instance. I think we're so quick to credit Aranda's defense and the running game and Steve Ensminger's play calling, but I don't think we give Orgeron credit when he's the guy running the show there right now and put together a good game plan to beat a very good team. On the other side, when Orgeron loses, like at Florida, we're quick to say Dan Mullen outcoached Ed Orgeron again. So I think it's fair that we give him the credit for putting together a good game plan and beating a good team, because that's what it comes down to. He's the guy running the ship. I commend him for, you know, after the Florida game, it's on me, I take it. And when they win, he says it's the players, they did it. So good job for Coach Orgeron, and hopefully he's got another few in him.
I feel like a pattern's coming here, because we said that Miami was his biggest win in his career. Then we went to Auburn. That was the biggest win as LSU. Now against Georgia. Maybe in 3 weeks, maybe he'll get another signature win.
Here he goes.
I know Mississippi State this weekend, you know, we play them one at a time. You know, but 2 is a little banged up. We'll say that for another day, but the signature wins are piling up here, Juan. And I think there's a little more noise to be had in Tiger Stadium this fall.
One thing that stood out to me from the press conference after the game, Foster Moreau said that Coach O is not just a rah-rah coach. And I think that the perception that he's brought to LSU is that he can find, look, I'd run through a wall for that guy if I played for him, because I would imagine those pregame and halftime speeches are amazing to listen to and get you pumped up to go. But I think he's showing now that he's more than just a guy that can get them pumped up physically, you know, get them rah-rah and everything. I think he's a guy that knows how to coach a football team. And I feel like we're always looking for a reason to say it's time to move on. Oops, I told you so about Ed Orgeron, when in actuality, you can't judge this guy now based on what he was at Ole Miss, because at Ole Miss, they didn't have nearly the talent he has here. I think he's a good football coach again. I think he's a great motivator, and half of the job of a head coach is motivating his players to play for you.
And that's the point I think I was going to make next, is that even though Coach Orgeron's been in the coaching game for a while and he's had, you know, his chance at Ole Miss and interim at USC and whatnot, he's still learning how to be a good head coach, and he's doing a pretty good job, I'd say. You know, obviously we keep going back to Matt Canada, probably not the best decision to bring that personality in because they clashed, but now that he's got a staff that he trusts and they trust him, and I said it before, it just seems like the program is so much more cohesive and it works as a singular unit now, not offense against defense and these rifts here and there in the staff and players and personnel. I think he's learned what it takes to put together a whole team, and we're seeing the results of that because they've always had the talent, and now you're getting the most out of that talent.
Let me ask you this. The aggressive side that he took, the approach he took against Georgia, going forward on fourth and short, getting all 4 of them, what did that tell you about the kind of coach he is?
Well, they decided early in the week they're going to be aggressive, because when they lost at Florida, he didn't go for it on the 4th down conversion. That was really close. They decided this week they're going to go. You know what? It almost feel like Burrow knew before they even made the play call. He wanted to go for it. So you knew the message came to him all week that if it was close, they were going to go for it, because Burrow was already moving to the line before they even said, let's think about it. So obviously the message is out there. 4th down conversions, are going for it every single time.
Speaking of Joe Burrow, he doesn't back down from the moment. Not spectacular in that game, just steady, which is really what this program has longed for a long time. We don't need the guy with the big arm. We need the guy that's not going to really make the mistakes, these simple little bad throws that LSU quarterbacks have been making for years. It's what's really held this program back.
I think it kind of goes back to what I was just saying about trust and learning your personnel a little bit. You got to remember, Joe Burrow came into this team not just learning the playbook and how his guys are on the field just in June when he transferred, but getting to know guys off the field and getting that chemistry that is so important when you look at some of the best teams in the league, not only in college football but in the pros. Teams that have that chemistry off the field and in the locker room tend to have more success. And I think Burrow has done a good job fitting in, and we're seeing him get more ingrained. And look, I mean, he's learning a guy like Justin Jefferson. They seemingly connect on all of the big plays whenever they need a big play. And so I think you're starting to get that out of Burrow. He's learning the guys around him, learning his running backs, his offensive line, his receivers, different tendencies, different looks, and the SEC as a whole. He's seeing the level that he has to play at to have success against teams like Ole Miss and Auburn and now Georgia, and obviously the big dogs coming in Bama and a Mississippi State team this week as well. And so we're going to see Joe Burrow improve as he gets accustomed to the league and the team around him.
Let me ask you this, Garland, because I know you were a Miles Brennan guy for good reason, good young quarterback, but how much credit does Ed Orgeron deserve for making the decision to go with a kid that had a little bit more game experience in Burrow than Brennan, who is a good young prospect?
And they probably saw that he could do the RPO. That's the other thing.
Absolutely.
For as much as Miles Brennan has a cannon for an arm, he just doesn't have the speed that Joe Burrow has. I'm totally amazed that Burrow's run the ball this much this season. Faking out cornerbacks against Georgia. I didn't expect that. The Ole Miss play right here. He's killed it running the ball. And we're going to see a lot more RPO coming from LSU in the next couple of weeks. That is a dangerous weapon that could burn Mississippi State. And who else could have burned one in a couple of weeks?
I don't think it will have any effect on Alabama. Let's not even get into that. Yeah, you get through Mississippi State because I worry about that game being a trap game for this football team. Granted, they're a ranked team.
And they beat the daylights on LSU last year, Mississippi State. Yeah. So they did not forget that.
They're a talented team, offense and defense. They can score some points, and LSU's going to have to score some points and not just field goals. The one thing I think that helped LSU with Joe Burrow and the continuity with the players is the fact that his teammates recognize this guy's got some talent. And so when players can see this guy's talent coming in, they're going to kind of go towards that place, like a fly going towards the light. You know, you want to go towards a guy that can help you win a football game. And Joe Burrow, these players, his teammates, I think they saw that. As for this weekend's schedule, you've got Southern and Texas Southern meeting at 2 o'clock in Baton Rouge. The 2:30 game has Tulane back at home against SMU. ULL visits Appalachian State. Ranked teams meeting in Baton Rouge. Again, 5th ranked LSU, 22nd ranked Mississippi State. Southeastern will be back in Hammond taking on Abilene Christian, and Nichols will have the weekend off. Coming up here on Fox 8 Overtime, the Saints have the 3rd best record in the NFL, and all of a sudden, they don't seem as flawed as some of the perceived contenders. So is it time to start considering the black and gold among the elites? We'll discuss that. And later, it's all eyes on AD as Anthony Davis gets set to embark on his 7th season in New Orleans. We'll preview the campaign.
Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty. You're watching Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.
All right, welcome back in. The Saints have won 4 straight games. Their 4-0 record is 2nd best in the NFC and 3rd best in the league, and they've been playing at an elite level. The question is, though, are they one of the league's elite teams?
I think so. I think at this point, your record is, or you are what your record says you are. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're a 1-loss team, and you look at the rest of the league, there's only one undefeated team left, and it's the team that made some huge moves and probably should be undefeated. That's the Los Angeles Rams. I think for everything we said about the Saints and their lack of a secondary and defensive issues early, they were able to overcome and win games, and the defense certainly picked it up the last couple of games. And so, yeah, they're among the elite. I mean, they're leading their division. They're in the race for being at the top of the NFC as well, which, as I think Cam Jordan alluded to in the locker room the other day, that's what you got to start considering a little bit. He said, you mentioned over the bye week, he sat down and kind of looked across the league, looked at who was playing some elite football right now and maybe seeing what they need to do to get there or keep doing to stay where they're at. And so certainly they're up there.
If you had to handicap it right now, I would say in the AFC, if you had to tell me Right now, you need to put an NFC and an AFC championship game. AFC right now, it had the Patriots-Chiefs, which was an epic matchup this past Sunday night. It was one of the best games I've ever witnessed in the NFL. And then the NFC right now, it's got to be the Rams and the Saints. Those are the most complete teams right now in the NFC, offense and defense. I know we're throwing a little Mitchell Trubisky video up here for the Bears. He's not a good quarterback. He cost them that game against the Dolphins. I know they got a good defense, so the Bears will have a good offense. The Saints defense, I think they're gonna start to figure it out. They're starting to improve every week. Marcus Davenport, Cam Jordan, they're getting more pressure on the quarterback. I think they're going to keep improving as they go on because the offense is untouchable right now, Juan.
I think the next 5 games will tell us all we need to know about this football team. Forget what happened in the first 5 because they did what they were supposed to do, win 4 of those 5, and really they beat Tampa. They're 5-0, and it's a better start than you expected. But the next 5 games against 5 teams that expect to be in the playoffs, you know, that's going to tell you way more about this football team. I am not convinced this defense is as good as they look so far because I think the competition will get better. Baltimore this Sunday is going to be a difficult matchup. They've stacked the Titans quarterback Mariota 11 times. Can the offense keep them out of the backfield on Drew Brees? Can they get pressure on Joe Flacco with the front 4? You know, the corners, I like Marshawn Lattimore, but I'm still concerned about the other side with Ken Crawley and P.J. Williams. I haven't seen enough from this defense that lets me say this is an elite football team right now. How far are they from being where the Rams are? That's what I look at, and I think they're still a notch below.
Well, this is going to be the measuring stick. Like you mentioned, it's playoff teams. It's going to Baltimore, a place that's very difficult to win, especially once we start getting to this time of year. But this is where the Saints can prove that defense travels and see how they play there. Then it's obviously back to Minnesota where they've got to exercise some demons. But look, for all of the deficiencies you just mentioned on the Saints defense, the Saints offense, when they turn it on, can cover it up. And look, I was a guy that going into Minnesota last year in the playoffs, and then certainly after that first half, I'm thinking, look, everything that you've heard, the cliche over the years, is correct, that a good defense is going to win and overcome in the playoffs. And it looked like that until that second half when Drew Brees absolutely kicked down that door and lit them on fire in Minnesota. And I'm just thinking, look, if the game's ever on the line, Brees has been so efficient the last 2 years when they've got a running game. And even when they've taken the run game away like Minnesota did and Carolina did the round before that, Drew Brees has been so good, you just have to think that somehow he's going to find a way to win the game. Maybe that's not always the case. Maybe he's had some good breaks, but certainly they are always going to be in the game with Brees, whether or not you think they have deficiencies on that defense or not.
Exercising demons, Chris just talked about it. The best stat, I think, going into this week's game is the Ravens. Drew Brees is 0-4 against Baltimore. It's the only team in the NFL he hasn't beaten. 0-3 with the Saints. Did not beat him when he was also with the Chargers. Obviously, if Drew Brees is 0-3 with the Saints against the Ravens, that also means Coach Payton hasn't beaten the Ravens either.
What's the most important stat this weekend? Drew Brees' high passing percentage or them getting 100 yards rushing?
Them getting 100 yards rushing. I think certainly that's a team that you're going to want to control the ball against, and they've got some big play guys. When you look at John Brown and what he can do, you don't want that Ravens offense to get going. You don't want them to get some steam, and so ball control can be a big factor.
I don't think the Ravens are going to get to Drew Brees that much this past week, what they did against the Titans. 11 sacks, that's insane.
It's crazy.
This offensive line for the Saints is one of the best in the NFL. It's top 5. Drew Brees, if he gets sacked more than 3 times, I'd be totally shocked.
We shall see about that. We have a program reminder for you. Saints game plan comes your way tomorrow night at 10:35, and the NFL on Fox 8 returns tomorrow night as well, with the Broncos visiting the Cardinals. Pre-game coverage here on Fox 8 begins at 6:30. Still ahead, the Pelicans made noise in the Western Conference playoffs last season, but new contenders have emerged. We'll scout the West as we predict the season next.
Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.
The NBA season gets underway Wednesday, and for the Pelicans, it all tips off in Houston against one of the best teams in the league and the favorites, the Rockets. We know what this team has done in the offseason. Lost Boogie, lost Rondo, picked up Julius Randle, Alfred Payton, but I feel like there are more questions than answers with this team right now. We just don't know how good they're going to be.
They're always going to be the questions right now because obviously you lost two huge pieces. The Rajon Rondo effect from the playoffs last year was huge, and obviously DeMarcus Cousins was a guy who gave them, what, 26 and 12, a double-double last year. So, you know, as Gentry loves to say, whether you think the offense fit him or not, a guy who averaged that fit in pretty well. So certainly they have some things to answer. The pace should be up, but again, there's a lot of teams that can go fast now. So the Pelicans not only have to go fast, but they have to play good defense, and that's where the difference will be made.
That's the question.
I put on Twitter today, I put my predictions. I put the Pelicans as the 5 seed. I think it's a nice spot.
All right.
It's right behind I had Warriors, Rockets, Jazz, Thunder, and then right behind them I had the Lakers. So I just think that they're going to get it all together. I think they had a good offense. And I'm still intrigued to see how they're going to play defensively with Randall, Mirotic, and AD on the court at the same time. That's going to be something that you need to watch for.
Talking to Andrew Lopez earlier this week, he said that he talked to Anthony Davis about the defense they weren't playing in the preseason. And he said, AD said, quote, "We're not worried about that." I don't believe you can turn on and off defense. I know you can turn it off. I don't know if they can just turn on like that. So I'm interested to see how well this team plays defense. You're talking about Boogie Cousins. Losing those points is awful, but you're also losing a guy that got a couple technicals every couple games and also turned the ball over about 4 or 5 times in a game. You lose that headache in the locker room. I think they'll be a better basketball team. They may not win as many games. I think they'll be a better basketball team continuity-wise than they were with Boogie Cousins. Look at last year's standings in the West, though, really quickly. This is how it finished. Obviously, Rockets, Warriors, Blazers, Thunder, Jazz, Pelicans at 6, Spurs at 7, and Timberwolves at 8. Will it be similar to that this year?
I think it's similar. You can probably knock the Wolves out of there with
probably the
Jimmy
Blazers
Butler
down too, huh?
You might be able to move the Blazers down. It's still a team that probably plays some good regular season ball. Certainly the Lakers will be up. Clippers a bit of an unknown. I think the Nuggets will be up as well. But look, I think it's still going to be a dogfight. I think it's the Warriors, the Rockets, and everybody else.
Yeah, I had the Lakers making it. I had the Nuggets, and I had the Blazers. I had out was the Spurs, which is really bizarre.
Yeah,
that's another one, though. I think you're right there.
Yeah, with them losing Murray for the season with a torn ACL, he was going to be a big contributor to the team. They're just getting old, man. They ran off some guys that were old, and I don't know if the new guys coming in can turn it around for them.
I agree with you on that. Well done. All right, coming up, we'll take a peek at the prep action on tap this week, and we'll each have our final say on the weekend sports. Stay with us.
Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty. You're watching Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.
We want to check in on the children right now. Our newest Fox 8 Big 8 poll is out, and no changes to report in this week's poll. Edna Carr 1, John Curtis 2, John Ehret 3, Terrebonne, they're 7-0 at number 4. Lakeshore 5th, Destrehan, Warren Easton, and Slidell, the dirty Dell, and at number 8. Is this their year to win the District 6 5A championship, Chris? What say you?
I say if they got a good shot, man. Harlan Dixon and that offense.
You better say that.
This year,
okay, go back to the North Shore.
Look, they've got a shot, and look, depending on what kind of matchup and draw they get in that playoff bracket, we'll see.
Our Fox 8 Big 8 game of the week, a pretty good one. De La Salle and St. James in District 10 3A.
Yeah, De La Salle actually beat St. James last year 63-7, but they had four block punts for touchdowns in that game. I talked to Coach Manali today, the head coach of De La Salle. He actually said they're the underdog in this game. So I'm actually pretty fired up after talking to both coaches the last few days. I think this is going to be a tight game this year.
Who gets the win?
I would still go with the De La Salle Cavaliers. Not let's full disclosure. I might have gone to De La Salle.
Slide down, De La Salle alums on the set. Imagine them picking their teams to win. Time now for everyone's favorite. Our final say. Chris leads us off.
My final say is for Juan Kincaid. Juan, if you've seen this show, Juan has not always been a fan of Taysom Hill. From training camp to the regular season, he's criticized from Hill's usage for taking the offense out of rhythm or not making the right reads on the option. Well, Juan and I made a bet during the Saints-Washington game on when Drew Brees would break the record. I said second half. Juan said first, but he said immediately after he made that bet, he felt like he'd lose it. Now, if you remember, Taysom Hill kept on an option read to Kamara that was wide open for Kamara to take it 52 yards to the end zone. There you go. Thank you, Taysom. The way that drive played out, that's 46 yards Breeze wouldn't have had en route to the record in the first half, and a bet Juan would have likely lost. Instead, Hill keeps, picks up a few yards, then Breeze goes on to rack up yards. Juan wins the bet later in the first half. Juan, you owe Taysom an apology, or at the very least, like you said, a big thank you.
I'll send him some chicken wings. How about that?
Send him some chicken wings, man.
All right, Garland, what you got?
On that note, 2 years ago, Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey bailed on their teams right before the bowl game to focus on the NFL draft to avoid injury. They got ripped by the national media types for being selfish and not being team players. I was on the player side both times, and I'm with the players again this latest instance by Nick Bosa. The Ohio State Buckeye has left school to focus on rehab and get ready for the draft halfway through his junior year. He suffered a core muscle injury in Game 3 this season, and there's major doubts if he could return this season. I say, do your thing, young man. You only get 1 or 2 good contracts in the NFL. Get ready for the next level.
Isn't the whole point when these premier players are playing in college like at Ohio State or LSU, they're planning to get to the NFL. That's what they want to do.
3 years in and out.
He's definitely Joey Bosa's brother.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. He's following good footsteps. There are so many reasons why the Alabama Crimson Tide are head and shoulders above everyone else in college football right now. And part of it is how they respond to winning big games, which is rubbed off on their fan base. What we saw in Tiger Stadium Saturday night with LSU fans rushing the field after their Tigers upset second-ranked Georgia, you'd never see in Tuscaloosa that $100,000 fine that LSU has to pay for their students over exuberance. Alabama doesn't have to worry about that. Why? Because Bama's not only used to winning those games, but they and their fans expect it. And once upon a time, LSU fans did as well. Big wins happened on a regular basis under Les Miles. This was Ed Ogeron's 3rd win against a ranked team this season. But beating the Bulldogs gave him his first signature win as the Tigers head coach. These are the kinds of wins that, based on the level of talent the Tigers should be bringing every summer, they should get more of more often. Nick Saban created that mentality in Tuscaloosa. It's time for Coach O to bring it to Baton Rouge so these Tiger fans can continue to scream their heads off from their seats.
I agree.
I just want to know where you're getting these wings from for Taysom Hill. Well, where are you hitting here? You going Wingstop? You going to Chicken Watermelon?
I cannot reveal my secret stash.
You going to Moe's? You going to Blue Oak? Come on, man. Give me a heads up.
Yes, and yes. Hey, it's a late kickoff Sunday in Baltimore, 3:05 p.m. Our tailgate will start an hour beforehand at 2 o'clock. We'll, of course, still be back with you to wrap it all up on the final play at 10:30. We don't need Sean back here, do we?
No, we're good.
We're good. We're good. Until next time, though, for the gentleman beside me and everyone here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. Thanks for watching. Our next newscast at 4:30 in the morning. Have a great night.
This has been Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.